There's no quickie like the old quickies. Have you noticed that music and TV shows today are mostly crap, but the ones when you were growing up were great? Well, guess what? That's what adults at the time said about your generation's music and TV. What's going on, I believe, deals with something called Sturgeon's Law, named after science fiction writer Theodore Sturgeon, who observed that 90% of everything is crap. 90% of music is crap. 90% of science fiction is crap. 90% of sitcoms are crap. 90% of YouTube videos are crap. Although, hopefully not this one. So what's your favorite style of music? Is it heavy metal? 90% of it's crap. Hip-hop? 90% crap. Punk rock? 90% crap. Jazz? 90% crap. Classical? 90% crap. It's hard to think of classical music as 90% crap while we're listening to Beethoven, Mozart, Wagner, Brahms, or Vivaldi. But that's because they weren't terrible. Were there any terrible composers back then? There must have been. There were a lot of composers, but we only remember a handful of them. We don't remember the others because they were terrible. So what's your decade? Let's say it's the 80s. And you think 80s music is just great and you've got your whole collection of songs from the greatest musical decade ever. But how much is that, do you think, compared to the entire creative output of every single musician over the whole decade? Hundreds and hundreds of them working day in and day out to crank out one song after another. What portion of that does your music library represent? Is it 10%? Is it even 1%? See, you remember the stuff that doesn't suck. But with today's music or TV shows or whatever, since you're steeped in the decade and experiencing it as it happens, you're experiencing the 90% crap along with the good stuff. 20 years from now, people will remember that good stuff, but think about how horrible this new music of the 2030s is. 90% of your favorite decade's music and TV sucked. But that's okay, because the good stuff will live on. And there's good stuff in this decade too that will live on as well. Don't close yourself off to it because of the 90% suckage. Because then, as Sturgeon's Law shows, you'll be closing yourself off to any new creative endeavor.